ever.
Hello everyone. Hi, welcome to the pre-show. If you're watching, I'm going to say this now at the start just to make sure that people do realise the pre-show, because I do advertise the show to start on the hour, which is in about 14 or 15 minutes time. But yeah, pre-show you're at. Enjoy yourselves while you're watching this. We're just during this pre-show we just kind of set things up, check mics and things like that. Now, while I'm doing that, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the chat happening. Need to get the copy of that. And you think that I could do all this prior to streaming, but believe me, there is some things that you just can't do. Okay, and we're going to pop the chat in the bottom left-hand corner. Otherwise, we'll have people complaining. Guest in the guest 3 spot. Bang. There we go. Chatties can go there. Okay. Now, there was one other thing I wanted to do quickly. Set up the recording. I never got around to putting the podcast up during the week. I just because I wanted to edit the first 15 minutes out and just have it from the proper start of the show. And yeah, just didn't get around to doing it for some weird reason. So I'm now going to be...
And then you thought, how about you just do the first 15 minutes as random podcasts rather? I like them. Just a 15-minute podcast of us rambling.
We could. But now I'll have 2 podcasts to do, which is a bit of a pain. But anyway, it'll catch up on me if I don't do it.
Is last week's not up there?
Well, the show...
Is that what you mean?
The show is up on YouTube. It always is. But I was actually... There's an audio version that I'm recording.
Oh, right. I see.
All right. So we are recording now. So that's good. Hello, recording. What else can we do? We've got chat happening. Let's just check a few things. Cameras. Me. Hi, me. Looking handsome. Darren. Darren's working.
Yeah. My mic's falling.
And Andy's working. Jeez, I'll tell you what, Andy, I don't know what you did, but since we had a little whinge about your fuzziness and internet crackleness, all of a sudden, since then, it's been superb. Look how clear you are. It's almost like you're
I've done absolutely nothing. I mean, I remember there was a couple of weeks ago when it was really bad, and that was with the new computer, the new router, the new internet setup that I've got. And I was really quite irritated by that, but I've done nothing since. But it was a very, very wet, cold Saturday afternoon here, and I think everybody was just in. Everyone was inside watching Netflix, and it's just slowed the entire thing down. But now, at the end of this month, I'm having fibre broadband installed here because I haven't got it at the minute. So that's gonna make a huge difference. So
wow.
Again, this is all part of my productive week that I've had. So.
Yeah.
By ringing companies up and having a whinge about things, I've actually saved myself, I think, £120 a month. It's like a huge sum of money again, just so I don't have to live off beans to buy Eurorack modules. You see.
Well, it's lucky that some of the Eurorack modules aren't the prices that they used to be. To put it that way, for those who have been doing Eurorack from the early days, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I haven't bought anything since the QD drum module, so I've just been sort of holding off because I've had other things to do. But I think at the end of this month there'll be a few more. I'd like to get the System 100 finished off, because it's like if you started it, you might as well finish the bloody thing. So I'm going to do that. But
I think that's their plan.
The modules I really like.
Of
course it is. Yeah,
it's like the old.
Absolutely, you don't blame them.
The old days with toys, collect them all. It's one of those sort of. we're screwed.
Well, I don't know about necessarily every single module in this, because some of them I just think, well, will I really need that one? I'm not sure, but certainly I'd like to. There's
definitely modules that I don't use as much as others. So if that helps, I can talk to you about that.
Well, I can sort of think myself, but after last week's discussions about noise and stuff, I thought, well, I haven't got any really in the rack, so I need to get some of that. But
yeah.
Oh,
there's been some good comments about that on the channel. If you want to go and find out what good Eurorack modules are, back. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go and have a look. Well, I have found through eBay a company called Hampshire Electronics. They're not based in Hampshire, but I think his surname is. I think he's called John Hampshire, and they are really good value. They're not expensive, and they look sort of real old-fashioned. Like you built a Maplin synth, but they've got good reviews, good write-ups, and they sound great. It's got some videos up on here, so I'm going to take the plunge and invest in a couple of those as well. So, and when I get them, I'll let you know.
We'll have to get
a whole range.
We'll have to find the link to it, and we'll give them a plug. Speaking of modules,
well, I can send you that now, Ranza, if you want.
Speaking of modules, we were having a chat in I think it was Discord during the week, and one of the things that we kind of were talking about is, have you ever noticed that a lot of synths don't have modulation on resonance on the filter? There are some, but there's a hell of a lot. That's like a majority. It's almost like, why do we need? If you can hear noises in the background, that's the puppy found a toy and it squeaks. So I'm just going to let that happen. Yeah. So basically, the majority of modules don't, or modules and synths, whatever, doesn't have modulation on resonance. And I mean, obviously, the more modern type synths, which you can just about modulate anything now, have got it. But the more traditional sense, and it's kind of like, well, then there was a question about, well, why do we need it? And the answer is, well, why not? Like I can think of a few examples where you might want to have automate the ability to turn resonance on and off is just a very basic need without you having to actually touch it. Or the ability for you to fade it in and fade it out with an LFO would be nice, that sort of stuff. So yeah, I've just noticed that that's not a major thing that happens. So I'm just checking things while we are talking. I've got a lot of things flashing at me on the screen. Now, it says there's an error on YouTube, so I'm hoping we're not going to have issues.
No, it's probably because I put those big glasses on, magnified, and I can't see a thing.
I can actually see you in 10-second delay rubbing your eyes just then, Darren. So it seems to be still working. Right.
No. I've sent you the Hampshire it's just hampshireelectronics.co.uk. I sent you that through onto Facebook. So
Yep.
Oh, listen to that. I never sent you an email back actually, Andy, because I only listened to it not so long ago. That Boris.
What? Oh, the Boris, yeah. Well, yeah. I tried. I told you ages ago I'd taken loads of sort of samples and stuff from various things about lockdown, but that was when I had the Electro sampling, and I was trying to do stuff with that, and I never got it to work properly. It was a real battle. But I thought that was part of my process of learning Cakewalk. I thought, well, why don't I just chuck them into this, see what I can do? And it was just. And I'll talk more about that in a minute, but. When I'd done it, I thought I'm gonna send this to Darren and see what he makes of this nonsense. Well, I had a right laugh doing it. Sounds like your puppy's having a right laugh as well.
She is going nuts right now. We'll just have to persevere it. I might have to take the toy away from her in a minute. It's a tennis ball. It's like a little puppy-sized tennis ball. And every time she bites it, it squeaks. Oh, that was not a good idea. Now she's lost it. Good. Hope she doesn't find it.
Fine. I was coming with a big banjo and everything and kit and start playing the drums.
That'd be pretty decent if a puppy started doing that.
Yeah, think I'm annoying you now.
I'd be able to take her down to the local mall and make some money out of her.
What was it? Animal from the Muppets?
Yeah, Animal, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, 5 minutes before the show starts. So yeah, if you are watching, thanks for joining us. We are in the pre-show mode. We're a little bit before the actual real show starts. So we're just making sure everything's working. Hello to all the chatties. There you guys are. Chatting away.
Stop it.
to try and teach the dog how to play on a synth. She gets a bit funny if you touch her, like if you grab her paws, she gets a bit scared. So she doesn't like you sort of grabbing her paws and mucking around with it. So you wouldn't be able to force her to play tunes. You'd have to just sort of chuck her on a keyboard and see what comes out. It'd have to be quite random, I would say. But I have caught her recently. If I sit on the couch watching TV and she's sitting, if I put the recliner part of the couch out and she sits on the, where you put your legs, I've caught her watching TV and she's like looking at birds flying across the screen and all sorts of stuff. It's kind of cool. I thought, hang on a minute, do dogs actually watch TV? It's kind of weird. 3 minutes and counting. We got some new stuff happening in the show today. So for those who are here, you're going to have a little treat, and for those who aren't, nah. God, you right there, dog? She's buried herself. I wish I had a kid. We'll have to get dog puppy cam set up, I think. She's buried herself under her. She's got one of those beds.
Oh, we had cake cam. So.
And she's buried herself under the cushion, and now she's trying to find the ball. We've had cake cam. Yeah, that was cool, wasn't it? I like that. You know whose idea that was, Darren? That was my wife's idea to have the cake. That was pretty cool of her, wasn't it?
Oh, not the cake cam.
The cake cam was my idea, but the cake was her idea.
Oh, that's cool. There's been some quite nice. What was it on here? Did we saw Robbie Puricelli's Fairlight cake that his missus baked him?
That was good. Yeah,
that was a good cake. That.
Yeah, that actually that debuted on this show as well, because he posted it on his Facebook while he was actually in the chat, and we chucked it up on the stream at the time.
Yeah.
Haven't seen him yet though. He's not here yet. Any new faces yet?
Usually pops in.
And all the usual crews, not really.
I see I had Wagyu, Inky's here. Hi, Inky. Wagyu, Martin Taylor. Oh, hi, Martin. Not said hello to Martin yet. Oh, Martin.
It's a very boutique show. Like I always say each week, it's I don't really go out and market this show. Gosh, I might have to get rid of that ball. I don't want to spoil her fun. She's going crazy.
Well, it's that warm over here and everybody's just getting out, so there'll be less people in, I think, over this side.
Yeah, but I just don't. I don't market it. So if it gets marketed by whoever likes it to share it to their friends, then that's up to them. But I don't go out of my way to market. I put it on a few Facebook groups, and that's it. And then usually these people that are watching it are probably in those groups anyway. So.
Do we know DJ Blokey? Have we seen DJ Blokey before? If we haven't, hello DJ Blokey. There we are.
Okay. DJ Blokey, big hello to you. Whereabouts is DJ Blokey?
He's in the chat. That's usually, yeah. Oops.
Yeah, Sasquatch is saying he's a new chatter.
All right, we better be on best behaviour then, everyone, because we've got someone new. Or the opposite. All right, 1 minute to go. I think what we'll do is we'll do what we do every week, and that's hit the button. Here we go.
Oh, it's in France. Yeah, okay.
Here we go.
Bonjour à tous en France.
Well, hi. Welcome to another stream. This is episode number 118, I believe. And if you're new here, big welcome to you. We do things about synths and drum machine sequences and geeky sort of stuff like that. And this particular show, the topic we've got is bugs. And we'll talk about that in a sec. But we've got a fair bit to get through today. We've got some news, we've got some memes, we've got some price watching to do. And also, I've got a surprise for you guys. We actually do have a way to give you guys a prize this week, and it might be a regular thing coming in the future as well. So without further ado, why don't we say hello to the two awesome guests that we've got this week, starting with Darren. Hello, Darren. How's your week been?
Hello. It's been fine, thank you. No time in the studio this week, or very little. So you're lucky I got in time for the show. So yeah, it's been fine. Very warm over here. It's probably our warmest week since last year, I think. So yeah, nice and warm. Definitely. And that's about it. I haven't really you set up to sort of look at the chatties. I'm not sure how, rather than looking up at the screen up there with the PC, I'm now looking at the side here with the iPad. So I may have to put special glasses on to see it. The only problem is, when I can see it in here and I take these off, then I can't see a smegging thing afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Because they're too magnified.
You need to get the multifocals, mate. That's what you need. Welcome to the senior age of your eyes starting to fail you. I'm going to go across to Andy before you kill me. Hello, Andy. How's your week been?
This has been a really, really nice week. I've been on half-term holiday this week, and I thought I'm definitely going to make it count. And I've had one of the most productive, creative weeks I've had in ages and ages and ages. Really, really just knuckled down and got down to certain stuff. Had to finish some bits and bobs off for the. I mentioned about the Sheffield in Lockdown project. Well, that's going to be made into a film. I'm not sure how sort of professional, but they're going to take these photographs and make them into a film. So they wanted the bits and bobs that I'd done for that. So I had to sort of finish those up and handed those over. That was my first time in a pub in ages and ages and ages. So I went to a pub and had a pint. It was really, really nice. I sorted out trying to work out how to use Cakewalk, and that was a far more straightforward experience than I was expecting. Certainly a lot easier than Cubase. Really, I'm quite taken with that, and I think I might be trying to do more with it, because it certainly seems straightforward to me. What else? I would done battle and struggled with issues of sync in the modular, but Native VS. I've not seen him in the chat there yet. I don't know if he's in. If he is, hiya Robert, thank you. He gave me a little tip about getting things synced, how to sync things, and it's been great. So I've been having fun with all of that. The other thing that I managed to do, and I thought already hinted at it, was I've spent loads of time ringing up various companies that I'm with for this, that, and the other, and saying I'm paying too much. And I've saved myself over £100 a month just by ringing them up and grabbing a grumble. So I'm feeling really proud of myself.
Brilliant.
So, that's been my week. I've had a good one. Now I've got to go back to work on Monday. Oh God.
There's your new modular month anyway.
Well, that's it. Exactly. That was precisely my reasoning. Sorry about that. It's very self-serving.
Fabulous. Also, we should say hello to the chatties. There's a nice group of chatties. The regulars are here. There's a couple of new faces. Future World Machines was first, so big hello to you. Then Wagoo, JP Page 2. Who else have we got? Sasquatch, QRDNK, Richard Graux, Martin Taylor, Mac, ASIO Head, and Keith and Watford, Mike Delic, Inky's there. Hello, Lisa. DJ Blokey, which we mentioned before, big hello to you. There's the new face. So awesome to have someone new on the show. Hopefully you enjoy it. And there's plenty more that have popped in. So I'm not going to sit there and read them all like I usually do, because we just haven't got the time. But if you do want me to say hi to you, just sing out and chat, and I'll see if I can get you in a bit later. Right, okay, starting off the show, normally we do a couple of segments. We've got, the first one we do is called Funny Side, so let's get stuck into that and see what happens on the other side of this stinger. Yes, stranger things do happen at the end of the internet, and if you're wondering, that's where they hide these things called memes. Yes, now this one is from Pete. He decided to post this one up on his Facebook, and you're not safe if you post it up on your Facebook and I like it, I grab it, and here it goes. I thought he did a good job of this. The golden rules of playing drum machines. Staying in control. Yes, I like this one. I'll let you guys have a read of that. Okay, what else have we got? We also have this one, which I thought was quite interesting, and that is questions to ask yourself to stop impulse buying. And you guys can have a bit of a read there. And the last one, is it a synthesizer? So yeah, some subliminal messaging there. Is it my style or is it a trend? I don't know. I don't know about that. And this one I thought was quite interesting as well. It's definitely creative. Apparently,
that's great.
Apparently the person thought to themselves they didn't have to use patch cables if they did that. That's one way of looking around it.
There's something. I wonder if it'll actually work, and if you turn one, it'll turn the others. I suppose it ought to. If the tension's enough, I suppose it would, wouldn't it?
I tell you what, though, one of the things that annoys me about the circuit is that you just never really friggin' know what those knobs do. Because there's no labels on them. It's just something that annoyed me about the circuit. If you use a circuit a lot, you'd be saying, yes, you do. You know what they do. But yeah, I don't use it that much. Okay, now also as a treat this week, we're also going to be doing a couple of video memes, because I thought, well, we don't usually do video memes, and I thought, well, let's give it a go. So I'm going to start off with, let me just get the full screen happening, and probably going to break some copyrights here. So I'll try and give people credit where I can. So the first one, I'll probably have to do a little bit of this because the guy's actually released this song publicly and commercially now. So we'll start with this one. You guys have probably already seen this stuff, but it's just worthy of mentioning. Here we go. This one is the cat. Here we go. All right, let's go further it. All right, so that's the first one. I've obviously got to be careful with copyright, but geez, that was so clever. And the guy just thought he was having a bit of fun, and it ended up being quite a cool little sort of track that he made. Let us know in the chat if you've seen that one. I will put a link, once I finish the show, I'll put a link in the description on how to get to that, and I'll give him a plug now. The guy is called Aesthetic Dream on Facebook, and the song is called Alagagalaga Cat. Cat X, the kiftness. Yeah, aga. I think that's what the cat's noise was. Anyway, I thought that was a good one. So we'll go to the next one. The next one has got a bit of a Euro-rack sort of theme to it. So here we go. So this guy, he's circuit bent the Despicable Me fart toy, that one of the biggest selling toys ever in history, and he's made it so that you can trigger it and you can change the pitch. So lifelong goals. Oh, that's an excellent bit of work on circuit breaking on that one. And the last one is probably this one is Sven Ardik. So we'll give Sven Ardik a bit of a plug, but this one is a bit of life that we all kind of have to put up with. This one.
If possible, turn off anything that can generate noise. By just using tissue paper to mute the strings that you aren't playing, or a fret wrap to mute strings.
Yep. Everyone's done it.
We have done that.
So a big thank you to all of those people who I don't have any permission to use their videos on my live stream. But anyway, links to all your videos in the description. Let us know if I owe you some money, a beer or two or whatever. I thought it was brilliant. What did you guys think of the memes this week? Which was your favourite, Darren?
No, God. Those video ones are great. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the video. I like the rubber band, but I like the cat and the last one with the guitar. Proper classic.
Yeah, it was good. Andy, how about you?
What Darren just said.
Yep, same.
Yeah. No, that last one was great. I loved the punch at the end. Brilliant.
Yeah, and just a quick look at the chatties to see that they're on the same wavelength as us. Genius. Yes, it is. It's good. Noise gates on guitars, eh? What are those things? Absolute terribleness. All right, well that ends the memes for the week. Hope you guys enjoyed them for this week.
I never listened to the Shaman. That was gated guitar all over that.
No, it's fine. We're going to go on to the next segment because we got to get through the show, and I think it's this button here, and that might be news. My goodness, have we got news?
Blimey, been a while.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Not only do we have one bit of news, we've got more than one, and that is always good news in my boat. So how about this first one? This one did kind of sneak out just after the show went to air last week. So I've had all week to sort of null over this, and nothing really has actually come out about it more than what we already know. And that is Black Corporation are releasing this little baby called the ISE-NIN. I wonder if that's got anything to do with Nine Inch Nails. I don't know. I don't actually have no idea what ISE and NIN mean. So someone might tell me in the chat what that means. I haven't done any research on it. But what we do know is if you have a bit of a close look at this, it's an 8-voice analog synthesizer, and it looks very, very similar to a very famous synthesizer called the Jupiter 8. And it's used for the background noise. The dog's found something rattly to play with. So it does look very, very similar in terms of architecture. You'd have to say this is a clonies type thing of the Jupiter 8, and good on them if that's what they're going to do. So anyway, I just thought before we go into the next bit of news, I just thought there's not a lot we actually know about this, other than that they're going to be talking about it. And they did say in their Instagram post that they're going to be releasing more information on their website this week. But I haven't seen anything on their website this week. So, yeah. Sasquatch is saying, named after a Russian poet, apparently, according to the Pro Synth Network show last night. There you go. I didn't actually watch it last night because it's on at an ungodly hour for me. Guys, what do you think about the news of someone actually finally making a Jupiter 8 clone?
About bloody time too.
Yeah. Obviously, it's going to be
expensive if it's in the same.
It'll be along the same lines as all their other products, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean they've done a good range, haven't they? I mean they've done obviously the Deckard's Dream CS80. They've done the Kimchi. Is it called the Kimchi? Which was the Elka Synthex one that they've done.
The Kimi or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So they've got a backstory of doing these things. Now, obviously, I've seen the Deckard's Dream. I had a little fiddle about with it at Synthfest, but I've not had a go with it properly. But I'm sure that they're going to be quality things. But I think they'll come at a price. I think you'd be looking at least a couple of £1,000 for that.
I do too. Yeah. No, I just wonder if, I mean, how much different is the voice architecture on the Jupiter 8 compared to the Roland System 100, for example? You know, you could probably go and buy yourself a bunch of those Behringer System 100 modules and a bunch of filter modules and get yourself something pretty close to a Jupiter 8-ish sound, probably for a little bit less spend. It's still going to be reasonably expensive, but
I don't think the filters in the System 100 are anything like as strong.
They're different, yeah.
They're not as strong. In fact, if I have a criticism, is that the 110 module is that I don't think the filter's beefy enough. It's nice. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
So and the Jupiter filter's definitely got oomph.
Yeah. Right. Well, anyway, there's a bit of news, and I don't really have anything more to give you about it. I have been asking people to send me information, but there's nothing really come out from Black Corporation since that. Okay, we're going to keep going because we have more news, and that is actually a good thing. So the next thing that came out was this thing from Studio Electronics. I like Studio Electronics because they send me stuff without me asking. If you don't know what that is, you have to go back to previous shows or watch my channel. Anyway, this is the, what do they call this thing? This is the SE-3X. And every time I look at this, it looks like the word sex on the side of your synth. So that can't be a bad thing. This is a sexy synth, right? Now, what this is, just for us, so we kind of know what we're playing with here, is it's like an upgrade to their SE-1X. It features a 3 voltage controlled analog oscillator with different waveforms. Now, the cool thing about this is it's kind of like you've got 3 oscillators, but you've got 4 filters, and that is insane. And that just gives you so much more, scope with your your oscillators. Running it through different filters. Now, the types of filters that include are an ARP24 dB filter, a Juno/Jupiter filter with 4 different modes, a 24 dB Moog filter, and a 12 dB Oberheim SEM filter. So both filters come from the Boomstar synths that they've released in the past. And then you've got a 4 multi-stage ADSR envelope generator. Whilst I'm talking about it, why don't we play a bit of sound? Because there's a SoundCloud snippet on this we can do. It's right down here somewhere. Where did it go? Here we go. Going to turn it down a little bit. So 4 multi-stage ADSR envelope generators, as I said, multi-triggering options. Envelopes 1 and 2 are fixed, and 3 and 4 are assignable. And what else? 3 multi-wave LFOs, and you can see all that on the front panel. Now the thing itself is, let's go over to the website. It's a rack mount module, so that's the back of it. There's some photos of it there. All right, guys, what do you think of the Studio Electronics SE-3X, or Sex, we should call it, the sexy synth? Darren, do you want to go first?
They've always made nice stuff.
Yeah, well, as Andy said, they've always made nice stuff like the Boom Stars and things like that. And it's a rack-mounted one, which is quite interesting because with my space, rack-mounted stuff is more of appeal than an actual keyboard or even desktop, actually, to be honest, because I don't think there's any way to put with a desktop-style synth at all now. So, yeah, it's interesting and it sounds very nice as well. And like I say, SE Electronics usually comes out with really nice gear anyway, so I am assuming it's built well, and as it sounds, very good. And like I said, I can pop it in one of my racks.
Well, it is actually 3 HP too, so technically it is the same size as a Eurorack. in terms of height as well. So that's actually a cool thing. So if you're looking at kind of putting your stuff together in some sort of nice, neat way, you could have a rack next to a modular rack, and it would kind of all sort of look neat in the same sort of eye line. Andy, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I suspect it's probably quite a deep module. Actually, I think it'll go back quite a long way. I'm sure the other Studio Electronics ones were quite deep. I just think it's a great idea. I love it. I mean, way back in the late '80s, they started putting out. I mean, they did the MIDI Moog originally. I mean, and then they've produced all sorts of bits. And I've always sort of thought one day I really would like one of those. Again, a bit like the Black Corporation stuff. I suspect this will be quite expensive. I mean, those other things are really quite high end, but it'll be a quality thing. I mean, Wagoo's going to love it. The fact that it's in a 19-inch rack mounting box. I've got no problem with that. I mean, I'm quite happy to stick it in a rack here. I think it's fine. Quite old fashioned that way.
So you're looking at talking about a couple of things you mentioned. So that's what it looks like depth wise. You're looking at 22, just under 2200 US, and this measurements are here somewhere. 8 inches deep. So it's not terribly deep, but 8 inches, reasonably. I mean, some ladies might say that's deep. Anyway, we shall go on to the next one.
One of the moderators when you need them.
I know.
Kick him out.
You're gonna need a deep Euro rack though.
Oh yeah, you would, when I mentioned that it's 3U, you could put it next to your rack. Sort of, it would look flush in line next to a row of Euro rack. You wouldn't put it in your Euro rack. Well, you probably could, but yeah, I mean, Anyway, we do actually have more, and that is this thing, the Plinky, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, those who follow Loopop would have seen his video that just came out, I think, a couple of days ago with the Plinky. Also, Robin's been mucking around with this over on his channel. What's his channel called again? Molten Modular or something? Yeah, so let's have a bit of a look at the Plinky. So it's an 8-voice polyphonic touch synthesizer, and it's both Euro-rackable. It's a 24 HP Euro-rack module, but also it can be used as a standalone desktop mini synth, and it's powered by a micro USB connector. It has line level output stereo and a headphone socket as well.
Micro USB.
Micro USB, just for everyone to scream. But let's have a look at a video of this thing. And I'm getting these lined up for you. Here we go. Let's have a listen.
Now, if you make a mistake, just unplug and replug Plinky, and it will do it again. Now, because this Plinky is calibrated, I don't need to do it again. So here we are in Plinky. So think of Plinky as an 8-stringed instrument.
So I think just looking at this video, I'll link it in the description later. It looks like it's got quite a lot of cool things under the hood here. And one of the things that you would have noticed when he was just doing that very, very short demo is it looks like it's got some sort of modulation on your finger, and when you're wiggling your finger on it. And that is because it's got 2 little sort of light sensor things around those pads. So it can actually detect when your finger is moving left to right, which is actually pretty cool. And the other thing too, it's it's a digital 8-voice synth, and it'll never go out of tune and all that sort of stuff. There's a heap under the hood. So what else can I tell you guys about it? Let's get the graphic back up so we can look at that.
I think if you're putting it in a Euro rack, it's going to have to be on the. It can't be up like that, because that looks like it'd be a bit of a pain to use with your finger.
Yeah.
It'd have to be flat in Euro like that, or at an angle.
Yeah, so you can angle your case. Yeah. Now this is a DIY kit. I just want to mention this first. So this might not appeal to people who don't like DIY, but you can always get a mate to make it. It's £180. Now it's available. Let me just actually show you guys how you get this. It's available through Thonk, which is a good UK business. I'll give them a plug. Let's go over to the website. This is how you get it. Now, they've already released about 300 of these, and they're saying here that the next batch will be available around August, I think it says here. So they're hoping anyway. And he's updating the firmware and all that sort of stuff. So now you can buy a optional aluminum or aluminium enclosure, depending on what part of the world you're from. It's black, it's powder coated, and that's another £50, which is out of stock, but it will be in stock if you order it. And then you can also add a volts 5-volt power supply if you need it to be powered through your rack as well, unless you've already got one, of course. So that's how you get one. And let me just quickly show you. There's also some information on their website. Heap of sound bites that you can go and chuck yourself. The firmware is there. Building lists, how to play it, playing instruction manual. It's actually quite well thought out, this thing, and it's a bit of information on how to get it as well on there. So starting with Andy. Andy, what do you think of that? The Plinky.
It looks really interesting. I'm not confident about doing DIY stuff. It looks like it would be quite a challenging one to do as your very first one. But like you said, if you know somebody that can do electronics, give it to them and pay them 50 quid. Yeah, it looks nice. I'm going to go back and check it out more. I shall go back and watch Loop Hop and Robbins and see what they've been doing, because I haven't, I saw little bits, but not enough to form a proper impression. But it certainly looks very intriguing.
It's inside, Andy, while I got you there. It's done by a guy called Alex Evans, which I forgot to mention actually. So big shout out to Alex if he's watching. Multi-sample granular synthesizer, wavetable, virtual analog are all kind of able to be used inside this, because it's like a digital engine, right?
And it said 8-voice polyphonic as well, which is
that's right. Yeah,
polyphony in Eurorack is unusual, isn't it? So that's quite an interesting place to start.
Be interesting to know what type of processor that they use. It's probably a Teensy. What about you, Darren? Is that something that interests you?
Apart from the DIY bit like Andy actually, it's quite interesting, and I think I'd quite like to be use it more as like an out and about synth. It looks quite nice and intricate. I quite like it, but like I say, I don't have the time for DIY. I don't have enough time to spend in here, so DIY would just be too much.
So DIY aside,
that I'm probably like Andy.
DIY aside, if you didn't have to DIY it, think about the synth itself.
Well, that's what I mean. I'd be quite interested. I mean, I could that and my Bastel be quite yeah.
I've
got my glasses now, so I can I'll be able to see my Bastel and I'll be able to see that.
Yeah, what is it, about 20? I figured the size of it, 24 HP or something like that. I did say somewhere on the specs how many HP it was. But yeah, we had 3 bits of hardware stuff to show you guys this week, and I thought that was actually pretty cool. On a very, very slow type of the year that we do get stuff to show. There is actually some more news that's come out from, there's nothing really to show you. There's some news coming out from Behringer that apparently they're about to release. The dog's coughing up something. Hope she's all right. I might just go to you, Andy, for a sec. Just let me go check the dog.
Okay, let's have a sweepstake. What are Behringer about to release? Is the RD9 going to come out?
She's all right. She's all right. Okay, we're good. So the news is that obviously the RD9 is shipping. We don't need to talk about that because everyone knows about that, which is finally something good news for some people, I guess, especially for those who have pre-ordered it. You can actually order it now if you are wondering. There are places around the world which are selling it. So, and they're promising stock is on its way to all your favourite music stores. I don't know how good that promise will be, but yeah. The actual news that I was talking about is that there's 2 new synths coming out from Behringer. Now, I actually don't know what they are. And if I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you anyway. But the fact is that they've kind of done this differently to what they've done in the past is actually quite interesting. Because normally they're usually people that would tell us, hey guys, we're thinking about doing X, Y, Z. here's a 3D render. What do you think? And kind of get feedback from the community that way. And I know they've got a massive list of gear that they have told us all that they're going to make. But this particular news that came out the last couple of days, they're saying that we don't know what these are. They haven't told us anything about it. So if you move that list to the side that they've promised they're going to make, these 2 new things that are coming out are going to be separate to that. So that's, yeah, it's got a few people scratching their head. What do you guys think of that news?
Is it going to be
The last
something
time-
completely Behringer? In other words, no clone, no idea. You know, like the Neutron that they came out with in the DeepMind 12. Is it going to be something on that side? So it's a complete Behringer design. Think of whatever it is, synth,
Yeah,
mixer, I don't know, sample, whatever.
that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's about time they did something like that.
Yeah. Andy, what were your thoughts?
Well, I thought the last time they did something similar to that it was the big mixing desk thing, the digital mixing desk that they released, which was, I think, a bit, that's interesting, because they've got quite a good rep for their digital mixers. A bit like Darren, it would be really nice to see a new purely Behringer synthesizer that's not a clone of something else. I mean, that we can all sit here and list a dozen things that we'd love to see them clone. I think 1 or 2 people mentioned the Oscar there. I think it was Mac that mentioned. Yeah, I'm hoping they'll do an Oscar. Yeah, I think we all would love that. That would be great. But it would be, I think, a really good marketing move on their part to actually release a thing which is genuinely theirs and not based on something else, where we can watch this space.
Yeah, look, I know that a lot of guys in chat are saying, is it going to be the CS80 or the DS80? Is it going to be the, what was the other one? The Lindrum, the Jupiter. It's not going to be anything that they've already said that they're thinking of making. This is so that's what I do. Yeah. Talk.
There's where where Behringer should, like Andy said, pull and do something of their own. Because every time someone says Behringer going to make something, everyone automatically thinks of an older synth or a pre-existing clone, some clone of something. They never actually think, it's going to be a Behringer, whatever, their instrument. Like if Roland said they were coming out with something, you'd assume it was, they don't expect them to do a clone. It's just going to be a Roland synth or sample or whatever. But Behringer said they're going to release everything, and everyone automatically thinks it's some sort of clone.
Mac and Native ES have sort of hinted at perhaps something like a polyphonic Neutron. That would be great. Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm only going by what the press release actually said. They actually specifically said they went out of their way to say that this is something that we haven't told you guys we're making. So it could be a clone. I didn't say it wasn't going to be a clone. It could be a clone, but it's definitely something that they haven't told us that they're making. So there's a big list of what they've told us that they're potentially making. So
they're going to clone the Neutron.
I'm suggesting that it probably isn't on that list. And that's good news. When we find out, we'll go, okay, cool. All right, so let's move on to the next part, which is this price watch. Now, Price Watch was interesting because last week we started introducing user submissions from Price Watch, and there was some good ones, and I had quite a lot left over. I had this one left over from Andy, who's Synth Addict. He's watches the show on replay because he lives in the US, but big hello to you. There's the Prophet 10 for $14,000 US. Wow. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that one on Reverb if you want it. They may even give you 5% off if you're lucky. Sometimes I actually put my own submissions in. This one I thought was quite funny. One of the guys on a local Australian Eurorack group put this one through, and it's the Make Noise Maths for 3,392 Australian dollars. I don't think so. Wow, that's either
it's mint.
That's got to be something really good with maths there, like maybe it's going to help you pass your exams or something. I don't know, but yeah, that's not happening for me. And another one from Andy. He sent, like I said, he sent quite a few in. So this is the Mini Moog for $9,000, nearly $10,000 US. That's starting to get stupid. Yes. These guys, they aren't scammers. The Armin's people do actually usually command pretty decent prices for their gear. So when I say this is a price watch, this is kind of like, wow, a Model D now, $10,000. That's a lot of money for a Model D. Doesn't necessarily mean they're scamming. And this was left over from Lisa's submissions last week as well. And last week I showed you the MPC one. This is you scroll down and this is what you saw underneath it. You saw the Akai Force for £2,000 and it's just stupid. £4,100 for a MPC Live. Like this is Wish if you're wondering.
That's got to be mistakes, hasn't it? If it's a company selling stuff, they've got something seriously wrong because just daft.
So thank you to Andy and Lisa for their submissions, and also to Rands. Good on you, Rands. Thanks for your submission, mate. Beautiful. That's our price watch for the week. Now, speaking of news and everything cool, I do actually have some good news for us, and that is that, let me just get this full screen, that this week we actually do have a person from a company, which I'm about to tell you, that wants to give you guys, or one person out of you guys, a prize, and that is a company called Lander. They do online mastering and all sorts of other cool stuff. So big shout out to these guys. Instant mastering professional results. I don't know if you've ever tried Lander, landr.com, and you can try it for free. Now, what the prize is I'll tell you just after we watch this little video, just to give them a bit of a...
Why be good when you could be better? Lander Mastering just got an upgrade. Our instant mastering engine offers improved sound quality, smarter compression, and better loudness. Get ready for your best sound. Superior mastering awaits your songs.
All right, so everyone's wondering what is going to be the prize? Well, we're going to kind of do it Sonic State sort of similar way, because I think it's probably the best way to do it. And that is we're going to do it through Twitter. That's not the right one, sorry. Wrong button. This one. So what you need to do is you need to tweet at Randsy and then at LANDR_music or Lander_music. Hashtag bugs, because this episode this week is bugs. And you can put something nice about the show or something nice about Lander in there. And one lucky person, and we're going to be doing this multiple weeks, so one lucky person will win 3 months worth of pro mastering from Lander, and it's a value of 150 or just under 150 US dollars. So that's actually pretty cool. So yeah, get yourselves onto that if you're into mastering. Now, speaking of mastering, guys, big thanks to Lander for that. We are going to have a mastering show, which has been something that a lot of people have been requesting us to do. And we're going to get one of the guys from Lander to come on and talk about it, which I think is good because they know a bit more than what I do. Anyway, so we're also going to have some other people come on as well. So that's coming up, and hopefully that'll be next week if everything goes right with organising that. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, we're going to keep running this competition for as long as Lander lets us. And so good luck to you guys each week for putting your submissions in. And it doesn't matter, you can be on this video called Aaron, Andy, you can enter as well. Anyone can enter. The only person that can't enter is me. Anyway, that's okay. We are fine. I am fine with it. What we're up to now is our fantastic segment that we have just really wanted to reintroduce onto this show, and that is this. Yes, with a delay from me pressing the button. I'm going to have to fix that. We are up to the rant section. And yes, there is a rant every week, hopefully, and it's one that you'll enjoy. And I do ask in various platforms, and Discord's probably the main one. I've actually set up a rant channel in Discord. The only person that wanted to put a rant in this week was was Andrew Me, who you guys know as he's on the show, he's an Aussie guy. He put a rant about. I thought that I had a choice about which one I was going to go with. I might tell you all of them, but the first one I thought was pretty good. Why, after all these years, do we still not understand the difference between the Korg KP3 and the Korg KP3 Plus? That's his rant, and it's a pretty good one because if you don't know what the Korg KP3 is, it's that DJ box with the XY pad on it, and you can sample in it and things like that. And really, I answered this question, but the difference is that it's basically, I think there's about, 30 or something more effects in it, and they've put a bigger processor in it. And I think it's got a different power supply, and I think the XY controller can send out MIDI, whereas on that KP3 it can't. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can actually load the KP3 Plus firmware onto the KP3. So because I believe they've got a different processor in them. So Korg went out of their way to make it difficult. So a lot of people were saying they don't think that they didn't see the value in that. And it's one of those products that's out there. So here's the rant. When people bring out a product that really isn't that much better than the previous one, and I can think of a few examples. So the example that Andrew's brought in is the KP3. So maybe we'll go to everyone who's watching the show in the chat, and Darren and Andy, can you guys think of a company that's brought a product out as a second version or version 2 or an upgrade or a plus, you know what I mean? Like the KP3, where the second version isn't really much better than the previous version. You guys think of one off the top of your head?
Yamaha DX7.
Yeah? Tell us about that.
Well, it was just repackaged with a different coat that wasn't quite as nice, and they did something with the output, so it was a bit nicer sounding. There wasn't a lot of difference, was there, between the actual DX7 and the original DX7? It was pretty much the same. I'm sure there'll be people out there who are going to shoot me down in flames for saying that, but that's what pops into my head straight away.
Okay, what's the next?
Actually, perhaps Manny, who's in the chat, could tell us what the big difference is between the two.
Wasn't it double the voices or something, though?
No, I don't think so. There were 16.
Okay. I can't remember, to be honest. But anyway, yeah. So that's Andy's. How about you, Darren? Did you have one, or should we skip you?
I was trying to think. The other thing that's going through my mind is flipping Apple.
Yeah?
I can list a couple of Apple products.
Like any iPhone after the iPhone 8, basically. Yeah.
So, but in music-wise, I can't think off the top of my head. I know there's a load.
Yeah. Now, the chat is going absolutely nuts at the moment, so make sure if you do want me to say what you're saying in chat, to put my name highlighted in there.
Not as you all said, Nordly 2X.
Nordly 2X, yeah. What about the Octatrack?
Korg X5, X5D.
What about the Octatrack and the Octatrack 2 and the Analog 4 and the Analog 4 2? What about those Electron products? How much different were the originals versus the second versions? A little bit. Was that a massive change?
I've never played any of them, so I don't really know.
That's a good one. So let's have a quick look at what the chatties are saying. There's a million things in here. So I can say the DX7 responds to MIDI in real time. DX7 is too slow. Okay, so obviously they've upgraded the processing on that. It says Wagyu. Korg X5 and the Korg X5D. So is the D the desktop version of the X5, isn't it? The X5 is the one with the keyboard, and the D is the desktop version. So there probably wouldn't be much difference between those, I don't think. So yeah. There would be Access Virus B to Access Virus C, according to Native VS. So that's a good one. Yeah, I don't believe there was much difference between the two. I think slightly more voices, I think. Anyway, so there you go. That's the rant section. That was a good one. Thank you, Andrew, for your rant. Now, just to let you know what else he said about rants, there was a whole bunch of stuff about MIDI and C6. Andrew loves his MIDI stuff. But he had a good point. Why more companies don't release the SysX implementation for a device, and he's looking at Novation specifically here with the Base Station 2. Apparently, the only way you to get to sysx information from Base Station 2 is under an NDA, according to him. That's interesting. So yeah, and the other thing you mentioned is why smaller groove boxes attach patterns and sounds in a patch. For example, Electribes and Circuit. Yeah, that's a good point. So they don't separate them. So you can't save. Yeah, I think the Roland JDXIs also suffers from that as well. You can't save individual sounds.
The Electribe, the later versions of the Electribe, there is no patch storage at all. You've got to do your sound creation within the pattern.
Yep.
And I've heard people talking about that as a limitation, but I've never found that. I find that as a really quite creative way of using the box. You know, that each pattern, your sounds are going to be. If you've got a really nice sound in a particular pattern and you want to use it, you've got to copy it over to a new pattern and delete all the other bits. And just create your own sounds. It's easy enough and quick enough. And I've always found I've been able to get to where I want to with it. So I think that's a deliberate design choice to force you to be creative with the machine.
Beautiful. Awesome. So if you do,
Sasquatch has got a good one.
Yeah, I was about to pick up on it. So if you do have a suggestion for the rant section, which Sasquatch has already put his in, do let me know through social media. Hopefully, I will try and remember that, Sasquatch. But if I don't, make sure you sort of remind me through email or social media and let us know, and it will make it to the next show. Fantastic. Or jump into Discord. The Discord server is, I actually accidentally put it up before. There's the Discord server address. Yes, it's a bit.ly address, but it's safe. If you click on it, it will take you to the Discord server, and it's free, and we're all friendly. And please join the Discord server because you can continue to chat during the week. Now, we have got this section now to talk about, which is Saturday Sonority. And this week's topic is bugs, as you saw from the graphic. And I thought this was a good one because, there's a plenty of synths out there over the years that have got bugs in them, whether they're a hardware synth or they're all hardware synths, sorry. Whether it's a hardware like electrical or electronic bug, or whether it's a firmware bug in its digital firmware, that sort of, can also be part of it as well. So now I did go out to social media during the week to ask around a few places and got a lot of stuff back from people. And I guess probably the first one that I thought was interesting was, let me just show you guys a graphic. We get it up here. I'll go to you guys so you can watch as well. Here we go, bang. So what we're looking at here, this is an example. So this is the Roland TR-808, and this is the transistor that's in it that produces the noise sound. And you can, from that picture, you can actually see there's a little bit of white paint on the top of the transistor. And the technicians and engineers, when they built the TR-808, by the way, this was later on, this was corrected down the track, but they actually used this transistor in it to make the noise sound in the TR-808. So it is a synthesizer, the TR-808, if you want to argue with me. But yeah, it actually is a faulty transistor. And one of the tricks about people being able to clone the TR-808 is that they aren't able to clone this faulty transistor. So this is one of the tricks. Now it wasn't Roland's. They didn't do that to stop it from being cloned because they wouldn't have had any idea that anyone would have cloned it back when they made it. But it does make it quite a rare sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a rare sort of fault, and it was done on purpose. So it is a bug, but it's an on-purpose bug. So that's I thought I'd start you guys off with that one. Now I am going to link the article.
Can you put that photo back up, Rams?
Yeah.
Is that not a scene from War of the Worlds?
Let's look a bit like it, doesn't it? Eddie. I will link you guys to the article that talks about this in a little bit more detail, because I'll give them a plug because they actually did a good job. That's where I got the photo from. secretlifeofsynthesizers.com is the place where you can go check it out. And they actually went to a lot of trouble to talk about this and go into research. There's actually even links to videos where chief engineers talked about it. So yeah, pretty good. That's a good one. All right, now, have I got one for you to actually show you? And the answer is, you betcha. And we'll start off with the illustrious overhead camera, which we can do here. Let me just... if I do this, I need to rotate it.
Cake cam?
This was Cake Cam, but this week it's going to be Micro Brute Cam and Waldorf Rocket Cam, but we'll do Micro Brute first. So this is actually another example of a bug. Now, when I say bug, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be negative, right? It could be a positive thing. Do I need to turn the light on? Or is that worse with the light on? No, it's better with the light on, I think. Okay. All right, so you guys can hear that, right?
Yep.
Right, so nothing unusual there. But the bug is the filter mode switch here. And if you switch it sort of halfway in between low pass and band pass, have a listen. That's halfway between the two, and that's now on band pass there. That's low pass, and this is halfway in between the two. There you go, I got it. So you've got like an extra filter, basically there. And it also does it between high pass and band pass as well, so we can try that. But the most noticeable one is between low pass and band pass. So there you go. There's the first one I want to show you. Now there is another one I want to show. Now I don't think this one is as good personally. Now I need to probably mute this for a sec because otherwise we're going to hear a pop sound. Let me just turn that off for a sec. Okay, here we go. All right, the next one is on the Waldorf Rocket. And apparently, I don't know if I agree with this. But anyway, apparently, according to one of the posts that I read when I did my research during the week, is that if you set the oscillator to sawtooth, which it's on, and you set the voice side of it here to around about 7, which I believe is about there, it will play the chords from the James Bond 007 theme. So let's have a go. Well, you're not getting any sound. Why is that? I'll just hit this button. Okay, so we go. Oh, I can't do the pitch, can I, if I do that? What is going on? Why am I not getting sound? It was working before.
You've got a bug in the system, Rans.
There is a bug, yeah. That's definitely connected. Is it a MIDI port? Okay, let's reboot this stuff. Just give me a sec. I'll reconnect the MIDI. So we're going into there, and we're coming out there. Here we go. It's loud, isn't it? Trying to find where it's 7. don't think it's doing it. That's 8. It definitely did it before when I was mucking around with it. I don't know why it's not doing it now. Maybe we turn it off and on again. It's never had a firmware update, this rocket, so it should be... Oh, there we go. Oh, that's horrible. Maybe we could make the sound a bit nicer. There you go. So it does kind of do it, doesn't it? I don't know if that's a bug or if that was done on purpose or what. And I can't get my camera to go back to us. I'm having all sorts of weird issues going on here. There we go. So there you go. There's a couple of real world examples of bugs. We're going to do two is we're going to get you guys in the chat to have a little talk about yours in a sec. And I've got a few more that I want to talk about. I can't show because I don't own it. But I thought what I'd do next is I'd get Darren's got one he wants to share with us. So we'll go to Darren first.
Yes. Since
The bug is every time you pick it up, it's upside down.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was some of the early ones, but a lot of people know this. But it warps.
Yeah.
It's actually. I don't know if I can really display it on there.
You got a spirit
But
level?
it's actually curved like that.
A straight edge?
And there's quite a few out there that do this. I don't know if it was the earlier versions or what, but there's a slight warping in it, which is a bit of a bug.
Now that's just done that since day one, or has that just gradually done that?
I only noticed it a while after having it, but I'm not saying that wasn't like from early on, because the way I had it set up, it was locked into a frame, so I never really noticed it. But when I did put it on a flat desk, I noticed that it sort of didn't quite sit right. It just only a couple of mil out. And then when I did some research, quite a lot of people have had some of the beat step. I don't know about the later versions because they changed. I don't know whether they changed the milling process or anything on the metal, but yeah, it's a slight warp in it. So I think it's become quite original now, because I think Inverted Popes has got one. I think he said his was warped actually.
I don't think mine is though.
Sure.
I've got the same model as you. I don't think mine is. So there might be maybe a batch.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of a few people. I think actually when I went into the shop, not where I bought it from, this was probably about a year later when I was looking at some other music equipment, and I was just talking about the BeatStep Pro or something, and they said they'd had them in, and customers brought them back because it had warped, or it was just not quite. It wasn't quite right. But yeah, that's
mine's not, Darren. I've just tested mine because mine's on a flat board. It does wobble slightly where it is, but I've moved it to. I just moved it across to the centre, and there was no wobble at all. So that's actually the fact that this piece of board that it's sitting on is not flat. Yeah, it's not. It's not.
Yeah,
wobbly.
but have you got a black one?
Mine's
you've got
mine's the
patch cables.
It's the later one that comes in the sexy black with the free patch cables, all of which are currently in use, and I've had to buy loads more.
Yeah, well, they obviously solved the problem by that point.
Now, Darren, do you have another bug / quirk on one of your hardware synths there?
Yeah, and the one that you mentioned to me, Rans, is the Juno. the Juno
Yep.
with the chorus buttons, which
Yeah.
we all sort of know
Yep.
that we can have. So you can have 1, 2. But we can actually flick the 2 in. And as you said, Rans, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. So,
Yeah.
As bugs go, that is a very nice bug, I suppose.
Yeah. It's one of the nice ones. Because they're supposed to be, I can't remember the name that you call it when you push a switch in. I think it's called radio button, the technical term for it. When you push a switch in and you've got a group of switches, it should eject the other ones that are automatically pushed in. But in this particular case, the 1 and 2 chorus buttons can be pushed in at the same time. Some people may argue that that is actually a feature and not a bug. And Roland tend to do this. Like we just had a look at the transistor thing before. Another example of it is with their JDXI and a lot of the supernatural synth stuff. There's a part where you can actually set your waveform and it will go into reverse. And a lot of people think there's a bug in their synth, but it's actually, Roland don't document their stuff properly. That's probably why people refer to it as a bug. But they actually do stuff like this on purpose. Now, Andy, you've got kind of a different story about bugs, haven't you?
Well, yeah, I'll come on to that because I've sort of been thinking a little bit. The sort of bugs that I do get, if they are bugs, is sometimes the supernova, when I switch it on, fails to boot properly. It just sits there on a screen that says 24 voices and doesn't go any further. Well, then you just switch it off, switch it on again, and it sort of is fine. But I don't know why it does that. The other thing I was actually thinking about, because we mentioned the Electribes, one thing I had noticed was that I can get ghost notes sometimes that it plays a strange note, which I know is not in the pattern, and trying to find, if you go through the step sequence of trying to find where this strange note is, it's hard to find. I've noticed this a couple of times, particularly if you're sort of using the mutes and using the pads as mute buttons, and you mute and then you unmute. I don't know if sometimes it ghosts through, and occasionally you do get a little bit of audio coming through from which it's supposed to be muted. But where's that come from? Why's that done that? I suppose these are, as you say, they are bugs and sort of firmware things. But they're not deal breakers on it. They're just little quirks that I've noticed. Well, I've gone all pixely again. Look, somebody must have switched Netflix on downstairs. Right. So those are my two. And the other thing, which the other major bug which I actually found was a quite a big dead spider inside the supernova. When I opened it up to give it a clean, there was a dead spider all curled up and not going anywhere. I don't know how it got. Must have crawled in under the keys. But so that's the only bug I found in a synth. Literally a dead spider.
Fair enough. Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. It kind of wasn't that topic, but yeah, that's actually a good one actually. Now, I thought before we go on to the next part, because I do have more to actually share with you. Obviously, they're not here, so I'm going to be showing you videos and pictures and stuff. But the chatties were talking about a few things as we were talking about synths and stuff like that. Yeah, I know the rocket's a little bit loud. Sorry about that, so I do apologise. I didn't really think that through when I switched between the microbrute and the rocket. But anyway, we've coped. Now, who mentioned it? I think it was Native VS. So one of the most famous bugs lately is the Moog one and the tuning issue. So yes, that's a definite one that a lot of people have probably thought about throwing their synths at the screen about, but probably then held themselves back because they're so expensive, those synths. But yeah, so that's probably a really, really good one. What else have we got? We've got Sergio is saying that in his opinion, the worst bugs are the old synths that have firmware on the EPROMs. So that means whenever you need to update your firmware, you actually have to replace the EPROM. Now, that technically isn't quite true. So in the old days, they used to catch people out who didn't really understand how electronics worked, and make them take their synths back in and swap the EPROM and charge them for the service and all that sort of stuff. But really all you need is an EPROM writer and the firmware file, and away you go. But yeah, these days I think that sort of stuff's a lot more accessible thanks to things like YouTube and the internet. Inverted Popes mentioned that he remembers his Korg MS-10. If you patch the mod wheel output to the triangle mod gen output, the mod wheel would adjust the filter. Does that count a bug? Absolutely. Absolutely, because obviously there's some sort of wacky wiring that has causing that, a bit like the microbrute, right? The Juno 660 unison mode is Native VS is mentioning that. It's a fun feature. Do you have that? Do you know about that one, Darren? The Juno 660 unison mode.
660 unison mode? No.
Have to ask Native VS what he means by that. Yeah, so there's been a few. Make sure you flag. It's a bit hard for me to catch up with the chat. Make sure you flag my name if you want me to mention it. Yeah, and I do have some more I want to show you. I know you guys are still talking in chat. Do have some more I want to show you. The first one I want to show you is one of our great guests that we have on the show is Ken. Ken doesn't even know I'm showing this, but anyway, I'll borrow his video for a sec. Big shout out to Ken. He's an awesome guy. He actually had this show on, I think it was late last year, where he got Marcus, and Marcus used to work for Oberheim, I think. And so, yeah, have a listen to this.
Anything, it's hidden. So there was an engineer, I don't want to embarrass him and name him, a good engineer who came and worked for us, who was working on a later update of the DMX, actually. And he was adding some features in one of the updates. And because he did that, he decided he should put his name in as well, which is fine. However, it turns out that he had introduced a bug. And this bug was pretty bad because if you happen to run into it, it would erase all your memory. All your drum rhythms were gone.
Oh, no.
But here's the best part is after you erased all your memory, his name would come up on the display. Basically,
That's horrible.
It basically ended up jumping to the routine where his Hi Mom page, as we called it, would come up. So needless to say, there was a short period of time when it.
So I'll stop it just there, but credit to Ken. And the guy who actually brought that to my attention was Alex Bull. So big shout out to Alex. He's an awesome guy. You guys know who he is. But that's what we're talking about, the Oberheim DMX and the engineer that worked there. Can you believe it? He wanted to have a bit of fanfare for himself and inadvertently created a bug which wiped all of your memory, your user memory, when you accidentally loaded his credit page. Good job. I bet you he was the most popular guy at Oberheim for a while. So yeah, there's that one. That's a beauty, wasn't it? Now, I do have another one, which I don't know. I actually don't really know how this one doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it was suggested to me by the Hardware Jams guy, Andrew Coogan, I think his name is. And this video is not his. This is... what's his name? Let me give him a credit first. Is Parts Project on YouTube. I'll link the videos in later when I get around to it. But
global effects scenes.
Digitakt.
The Digitakt per pattern. You're not supposed to get effects scenes out of the Digitakt. That's for the Octatrack or the analog rhythm. But something happens when you set it up a certain way.
So I'm not going to play the whole video because I actually want you guys to go and watch that if you're one of these people that owns a Digitone or a Digitakt. Yes, you can actually now access scenes which are not a feature of that. Like he said in his video, they're a feature of the bigger, more expensive things like the Octatrack, and that is usually the selling point of why you would buy an Octatrack. So he goes into the video to show you that. So that is a firmware slight. It's to do with MIDI, and there's a bit of a bug in there. And I don't know if they've updated it since then to take it out, but That video came out in February, so it's not that old. So we'll check that one else out. Now, what else have we got? So I've got, I think, one or two more to show you. Okay, this one here is apparently in the Korg monopoly. Apparently, if you've got one of these, now someone can tell me if they've got the Behringer one and it does this as well. Apparently, the audio rate LFO, you can achieve audio rate LFO by wedging the knob in between the two LFO shapes. So you've got like a knob which selects your shape for your LFO, and if you actually, it's kind of similar to what I was doing with the switch with the microbreed. If you sort of get it in between the two, the LFO goes into audio rate. So there's a good one if you've got one of those, and let us know if you've got the Behringer version of that, and if it does that. And this one is more a bugbear as opposed to a bug as such. This is famous. This is the famous JD800 red glue from hell. Whoever's owned the JD800, they will know that the keys on them became unstuck because it had the red glue, and the red glue apparently was just really just absolute rubbish. So there you go. There's a few that I've got, and there was obviously heaps more that I could have chosen. There's a whole bunch. If you ever want to know, JX3D was talking about the Blofeld. He's in the chat now. There's a heap in the Blofeld, and I think there's different iterations of firmware on the Blofeld. You can find a whole bunch of them, and one of the examples is, for example, that it can report your device is stolen. Which is just like, it didn't go down too well with people when it said the device is stolen. And it was an April Fool's Day joke because it said something, it said like April the 1st backwards or something. It was supposed to be a joke, but I don't think Waldorf got many friends out of that one. Let's go to the chatties and see where's my little thing gone? What they have suggested. Bang. So what do we got? We've got Native VS is telling us how to do the unison mode, Darren. You power up the Juno whilst holding down the key transpose button. It might go into unison. There you go. You should try that out. So I don't know if Darren's mic is on.
Try that out.
You can try it out, yeah.
Let me switch on.
Don't do yourself in there. So you got to hold down the key transpose button while you're turning it on.
Yeah, key transpose button. I've got to remember where the flipping switch is now. Where the heck is my switch? I've just switched the bloody thing. Right, okay.
Lesson 1, power on.
Okay, we just heard it click.
That off.
Yep. All right, now it should be unison.
Can you hear that? Because I can't. I haven't got my headphones on.
Yeah, we can hear it, but I guess you won't be able to play chords. I don't think yours did it. And just play one note to see if it's changed to unison.
No.
Nah, it sounds like a single voice to me. Yeah. You can try it a few times.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we can try it. You can play with that over your weekend. See if you can get it to do it. Apparently, it's not every time. From what I can gather by what he was saying, it sometimes goes into unison, or it might go into unison. Anyway, yeah. So, what do you guys think of that topic? The bug topic, was that a good one?
I suppose if you've had lots of bugs, then yeah.
Well, we've had all sorts of weird ones, haven't we? Had James Bond themes and people's user memories being written over, and it's crazy.
Oh, well, yeah, I've got a big bug. My user memory's gone because when I was there trying to switch the Juno one, which I've just switched on recently, it has. I'm
moved.
fumbling around the back when I should know that the on switch is just on the top here, and yet I'm messing about with that. So yeah, brain fade is a good one.
That's a user error.
That's my bug.
So you need new glasses and a new brain. Fantastic.
Yeah, let's get these on.
And to be fair, Darren, you've already had your birthday, so you know you don't get weeks and weeks of birthdays.
I've gone past that age, so the only problem with these things, I can't even see the keyboard; it's too magnified. God, Jesus! Actually, I'm going to take these off. I'll pass out.
There was another one that I was going to talk about, and I've got a JDXI here, but I just don't know if I could be bothered doing it because I don't know. People talk about it as being a bug, and I never thought of it. I think it's just because Roland never decided to put it in the user manual. But basically, in the drums part, if you change the coarse tune value of an individual wave partial to 24 or greater, the waveform is played in reverse. I've always I believe that's with all the supernatural synths does that. I believe so. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And I couldn't really be bothered getting my JDXI out to try it. But there's plenty. Now, if you do want to go find out more about it, the bugs, and I've put a post up on Gearspace, which is a forum. If you guys aren't part of that, you can go check it out. And it's into about three or so pages now, and there's some really, really good examples in there. And yeah, and obviously you've got the show, and I'll link the show in for them later, and they can go check it out. So yeah, and the chatties have, if they've got any that they want to suggest, don't forget to highlight my name because it makes it easier. There's not a massive amount of people in here, so I probably can pretty much pick up. Yeah. Steve Elbow saying there's an MPE pitch bug in a synth he won't name because the firmware is only in beta. Yeah, I guess if it's stuff's in beta, as long as they are promising to fix it before it goes public, I don't think that's any dramas. There's a bug, Dr. Synth is saying, introduced in the firmware before the last Hydrasynth that I'm not telling one about because it's quite useful. Oh, that's not very nice. Tell us. Now that you've told us, you're going to have to tell us. But yeah. Switch the Juno on while holding the transpose button down, Darren, is what Sensian's saying. That's what you did, though, didn't you?
That's what I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you ever get into beta testing of products, which I've done, you find like that's actually your job is to find bugs and sometimes the bugs that you find, you come across them and you don't realize at the time it's actually a bug. You think that you've done something wrong because a lot of stuff that you do is because things can be quite complicated in your setup. One of the things that you do, you think, hang on a minute, if I just unplug that and plug it in a different way, did I just stuff something up? And in the end, you probably pull your hair out and think, no, that's actually a bug. But you don't notice it as being a bug at first. So what I found when I was doing my research is probably the greater majority of bugs that we found that people were reporting on were to do with firmware. So they were to do with the digital processor and the programming of that. There was less of the mechanical or the electronic type bugs. And I thought the electronic and mechanical bugs were more fun. So that's why I got Darren to show the Juno one and the Microbrood and the Waldorf Rocket, and they're all good fun because it's well, I guess the Rocket they could technically remove that because I believe there's a bit of digital processing underneath that, even though it's an analog synth. I believe the way the paraphonic side of that synth works is digital. But yeah, so I wouldn't doubt that they could remove that. But yeah, I don't know, like hardware, firmware, it's all the same thing really. It's a box in front of us, isn't it?
It's set to do something and it doesn't always do what it's supposed to do.
And then that's when you're getting to the point where you want to throw your synth at the screen. Yes. Yes. What about Wagoo's saying there's hardware bug on the new iPhone where they forgot to include the 3.5mm headphone jack. Yes, it's not going in. You can always get a drill, a little 3.5mm drill bit, and just
Well,
drill a
it's
hole.
not just the iPhone then, is it? It's the iPads.
Yeah, it's all the devices, isn't it? Oh, that annoy us. But the theory is that we are supposed to be moving away from cabled headphones. That's the theory. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's the theory. Sorry, Andy, you were saying?
That's what a kid at school said to me. No, I was going to say a kid at school said to me, I said, well, if we're trying to use the computers at work for audio and stuff like that, and quite a lot of the kids at school say, well, I've got some earphones, but they're Bluetooth earphones, so I can work it with my iPhone. Now, that's what's happening. They're all getting Bluetooth earphones, earbuds pop in their ears, and no wire. So to them, it's not a problem that it doesn't have a headphone socket. Or just like you Bluetooth, and off they go.
Well,
a new world is dawning that is becoming increasingly wireless.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily a bad thing, but some of us haven't got there yet.
There's you with your headphones, and you got your cable hanging out the bottom of them. And there's Darren with his headphones, and he hasn't got any cables in his. There you go.
No,
I would not write with these though.
Yeah,
I would write with good old cabled headphones. Yeah, because of the delay. But Apple are moving to even the plan is to go so you transfer, so you won't even have cables to even transfer data as well, not just things that we think of as doing sound and stuff. They're actually going to get rid of the actual. I think they're on Thunderbolt or USB-C. The plans to slowly do away with that. And the thing is, no matter what you say about Apple, everyone else always seems to follow suit because Apple just say, this is what we're doing and you're going to have to follow it, whatever.
Well, it's the off the cliff mentality. And I don't know if I like that because, I mean, like, if you're going to introduce wireless headphones, you said it absolutely perfectly, Darren. You can't use them because there's a delay. If they haven't got that technology to the point where the delay is not noticeable, in other words, it's like under a millisecond or something really, really small and minute, then they shouldn't be replacing anything. It should be, you got a choice, you can use this or you can use that. Until we've got it working perfectly, then we can do the heavy lifting and make everyone drop cabled headphones. But I just think it's really, really bad, especially for people that work in both the video and the audio industry. If you talk to anyone who's an audio engineer or a video engineer, they will all tell you exactly what you said, Darren. There's delays with those devices, and that's stupid.
It doesn't matter.
It's really stupid.
I tried, right? I mean, these are not the ultimate best earbuds in the world by a long shot, but they're not the cheapest neither, and they're good enough for listening to music or like we are now chatting. But I tried writing a track, and I thought, well, I'm not going to plug everything in. I'll just use these. Not start off writing, and oh god, when you start even just the 4/4 kick drum was like I'm flamming so much because I can hear like the two kicks. There's only, you don't notice it when we're talking, you can't hear any of that, but as soon as you start writing and even just a simple kick drum's just only that minute out. Oh, it's just hell to work with. So trying to get video in frame as well would be I don't like to do it. It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah. With the adapters, the dongles, though, apparently that there's no real issue with that. It's just it's the Bluetooth side of stuff that isn't really.
Well, yeah, but eventually they're going to get rid of any way of plugging anything into the phone or iPad or anything itself completely. There'll be no actual access. It'll all be via. We'll be traveling through the air, and how can you guarantee traveling through the air? Anything can. When you've got a cable, unless you cut the cable or there's something wrong with the cable, it physically can travel. Going from Wi-Fi or air, there's always going to be issues.
Yeah. Well, the other problem, like, is we're talking about like your little headset pieces. Someone in chat mentioned it. I think it was Richard. Anything with built-in rechargeable batteries technically has a short lifespan. I mean, if you look at these headphones, or Darren, your wired headphones and Andy's wired headphones, they're going to last a lot longer technically than something that's got a battery that will eventually degrade and die. This little microphone that I'm using here, the little the Rode Wireless Pro. It's a really, really great little idea from Rode. But the thing that absolutely does my head in is every time I want to do a show, I've got to remember a few hours beforehand to make sure that I've recharged it. And that's a pain. I do have a backup mic over here if I need to use a mic, like a wide mic.
Well,
Got to remember to recharge it.
These are cheap, and I know they've been round the floor. I've gone over them, ridden over them, you name it. But they're always going to work unless I obviously cut the cable. And like you say, the battery in these, when this starts going and you don't get even an hour's play, it's just new headphones, isn't it? No matter how good they are, they could be the best quality and ear headphones in the world. But once the battery's called it a day, back to me old cable ones, if you can find any way to plug it in, because they won't on Bluetooth.
They won't make it so that you can replace them usually. So they'll make it so you have to actually replace the whole thing. Anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
I think the chatties are saying...
A rant within out of the
rant. Another rant on the rant show. Wagoo's saying he's lost 2 to 3 of those little adapters so far. Yeah. I know. And I don't know, like, there's the whole dongle supply world now, and you've got different quality cables and stuff. Like my youngest uses an iPad for school, and we've gone through a few of those charging cables, and even the Apple one that came originally with his iPad. We've gone through quite a few because they actually, if the kids, they sort of twist it and change, and eventually they become frayed at the socket end, and the cable becomes, the wires start sticking out. You have to replace it. And even these really expensive ones, which they reckon are like military spec, they don't last either. So, yeah, I can see why the world wants to be cable free, but I can also see, I think there's a struggle. There's a struggle with these two ideas, and they're not quite perfect on both sides.
There's a place for both, but don't force to go down one route is probably a good idea.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I see the advantage of these. It's great, but like you say, you also have an advantage with cable headphones as well. So don't get rid of the cable just for the sake of going wireless.
How many shows are on the streaming providers at the moment where it's dystopian society where we've lost electricity? Like, how many different series are about the future and we've lost electricity? It's crazy to think, isn't it? I would be devastated if we lost electricity because, I'm an electronic musician. So how am I going to make my music? I might have to get some hamsters or something. It would be horrible.
Not just that. You wouldn't be able to do your show or anything.
Yeah. We'd all just be back to village life. It'd be the local the local idiot down at the square.
I could always bang with pots and pans.
That's it.
Right. Well, on that topic about losing electricity, I'm going to do a book recommend. It's this one. It's called The Second Sleep by Robert Harris, and it's a future history. So you start reading it, and it's sort of set in the 1400s, and it's a monk on his way to a village to take care of the priest or bury the priest in the village. And as you're going along, you start finding sort of historical anomalies and quirks which just shouldn't be there, like somebody smoking a pipe in 1450. Well, hang on a minute, they hadn't brought tobacco over by then. What's going on? That's silly. Come on, Robert Harris, you're a historian, you should know this stuff. And as you read it, what you actually realise that this isn't 1450 behind us, it's 1450 ahead of us after like some kind of apocalyptic event where everything's stopped. It's never made clear exactly what's gone on, but it's clear that it's to do with a lack of electricity or the computer system's gone down, and it's just a really great scenario. It's really, really good. So if anyone wants a good, reasonably intelligent but easy read, I can really recommend this. It's a dead good book and a great scenario and an environmental wake up call for us all. Right, I've had a rant about that now.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I did a university thesis on that thing called digital memory.
And his book review. Could have a new section.
So Andy, you'd like this. So basically, my university thesis was all about the fact that if we lost the digital information that we are so relying on storing these days. And my thesis was all about digital memory and, possible ways to overcome, the fact that we could lose. Because in the older days, we used to store books, and the theory was that books could catch on fire and libraries could burn down. So digital kind of was a more convenient and cost-effective way to store. It was quite an interesting study. But yeah, kind of along the same lines. And if we lost power, if we lost the use of electronic circuits for some quantum physics event that happened, and all of a sudden nothing worked, we'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Well,
our
that's why
entire
we have our
infrastructure
CD
will collapse.
collection, isn't it, Vans?
That's it, mate.
Because if all music was lost off the internet and everywhere, everyone else would be screwed. But we'd have our hard copies.
We'd have our CDs. Yeah, that won't play, but that's all right.
Yeah, we don't get anything to play them on, but
the data's there. Yeah,
it's there.
Remembering when recovering from a simple hardware crash. Sorry, Dr. Smith is saying, remember when recovering from a hardware crash was as simple as sharpening your pencil? Exactly. That is brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Azio had said, I have to scroll back. I've lost it off the screen. Where did it go? It's gone and scrolled off on me. I've lost it. Why has it done that?
Put it in again, Asya head.
Anyway, it's gone off my screen. We're always going to be able to generate power. More worried about some gamma ray burst from a deep black or big solar flare getting through and wiping stuff out. Yeah, we're good. There's a lot of theories about. Wasn't there a recent streaming dystopian thing where they protected the world from a solar flare? They had to move something in front of something to stop it from hitting the Earth. And the person that knew about it was someone who could predict the future. A bit like a Nostradamus type thing. Some interesting shows out, definitely. Ways to combat your boredom during COVID, hey? Watching streaming platforms and reading books and stuff. And watching these stupid YouTube shows like this one.
Reading books.
Anyway, I think we've come to the end of the bugs topic, and we're starting to rabbit on about other stuff now. So as I said, next week we'll try and get the topic of mastering up. Now, a lot of people have been saying that they wanted that topic. So I don't know how much I can bring to the table personally, other than what I know, which is limited. But hopefully we can bring some guests on that will know a lot more than I do, which is probably a good idea because it won't be that good if it's just me talking. And don't forget to also check out the usual shows during the week. I will put links in to everything that I've shown video-wise. So there's the Parts Project, there's Ken Flux with it, Pierce's Synth Summit show, all the products that we talked about. I'll put it all in the description. And don't forget to check out all the cool synth shows. You've got Gaz Williams on Monday, you got Wednesday, you've got Sonic State, then Fridays you've got Pro Synth Network, and then on Sunday, which is tomorrow, I think you've got Molten Modular, and I think there's a heap of others that we all watch. So I haven't forgotten you. I just thought I'd mention those anyway. Stay tuned for the next week and have a good week. Darren, what do you got planned for your track tomorrow? Anything?
No, I've got Inky's track, but it's not going to be out tomorrow, unfortunately. It's pushed back to next week. So tomorrow, I don't know. It's a maybe and maybe not. But even if you haven't, still keep listing your favourite tracks because I need to get a nice, variety of tracks. Well, not necessarily variety, but I can see a lot of people are picking out certain ones, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. So even if I haven't got anything else tomorrow, I'll still go to that video and put down some of your favourite tracks. It doesn't matter if you can't think of all of them, but just put some ones that you really like. So it'll help me anyway.
I have to do that. I haven't done that
And
yet.
then I'll be able to make it as a compilation album, and you can all have the tracks that are on it.
Yeah, send me a nasty reminder. That's cool. Okay, and Andy, you've got work again on Monday, but you got anything planned to popping out of your YouTube channel lately, or?
Yeah, I don't know about on YouTube as such, but the plan is I've sort of been doing a little bit through this week actually of going back through old recordings which I digitized, and now the job is actually it fits in with the theme for next week of actually trying to make them sound better than they are using Audacity, just sort of cleaning them up and perhaps a little bit of enhancement and EQ. Just trying to make them sound a bit better. Now, I am no expert at that, and I've been experimenting and had some success and some failures with it. But I'm going to. The idea is to get sort of about a dozen old tracks which I quite like, and then stick them up onto Bandcamp for people to download for free. Let them have it. Do something with them. And old Andy Vonal stuff, and see if anybody's actually interested in listening to it, because it's just sitting on my computer right now doing nothing. So that's my plan, and I'll keep doing. I'll try and do a couple a day from this point on, and hopefully have it up and ready on Bandcamp for next Saturday, so people can go and have a listen if they're so inclined.
Beautiful, awesome. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Don't forget to hit the like button, not for me, but for these two guys, these two guys here, because they come on just for the pure love of it, and I really appreciate them coming on each week. They're the stalwarts of this show, the rocks, if you want to call it that. And for you guys who are regular and also the new
Darren,
people,
you can be a wart and I'll be a rock. How about that?
Fantastic. All right. All the best, everyone. Have a good week. See you next week. And I'll probably catch you on the interwebs in between. See you later. Bye.
Take care.
See you.
Bye-bye.